And so he says, فَكَيْفَ تُنْكِرُ الْحُبًّا فَكَيْفَ تُنْكِرُ حُبًّا بَعْدَمَا شَهِدَتْ بِهِ عَلَيْكَ عُدُولُ الدَّمْعِ وَالسَّقَمِ. He says, so how now can you hide this love that you have when this love has two witnesses that are standing against you and testifying that you're in love? So you know when you're in court, there's a crime. You say you didn't do it, but you have two witnesses that come out and say, no, we saw him do it. We're the witnesses. He's saying, how can you hide this love that you have when there are two witnesses that are witnessing against you that you're in love, which is your tears and your sickness. So remember the brother was saying he lost his appetite when he was in love. The other person was saying they couldn't sleep, they had insomnia when they were in love. So if your parents or your siblings were to come to you and say, what's wrong with you? And you say, oh, nothing, but you're not behaving normally, you're denying that there's something wrong, but these things are witnesses that no, there is something wrong. And so he's saying, how can I hide this love when there's a witness or there's two witnesses against me? And these witnesses are the tears that I'm shedding and the sickness that I feel, the change in character, the change in temperament, because of the effect that the passion and the love that I'm in is having on me. And so he says, وَأَثْبَتَ الْوَجْتُ خَطِّي عَبْرَةً وَذَنًا مِثْلَ الْبَهَائِرِ عَلَى الْخَدَّيْكَ وَالْعَنَمِ. He says, and so this love and this sickness, this passion, has drawn two lines on your face or on your cheeks. And these lines are like yellow spice or red, you know, how like they've changed literally the color of your face because of the amount of crying that he's crying. And obviously the crying is mixed with blood. We don't know if this is a real thing or if he was just taking poetic license, but he's feeling a type of way, and then there's also physical evidence of the love on his face. And the love of Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is supposed to leave a physical evidence on you. As a Muslim, as a believer, as somebody who worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, people are supposed to see the nur of Allah on your face. People are supposed to see the effects of the love. The love that he's describing is love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he's describing it in a way that people can relate to, which is the passionate love that we have for one another as human beings, when a man loves a woman or when a woman loves a man. And this is the essence of ghazal, that you start to talk about something with an analogy of something completely different, but it's connected. So that's why, for example, the Sufi poets, they love the story of Layla and Majnun, because they use it as a metaphor for the love that they have for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That the love that they have for Allah can cause them to be a crazy person by society standards. But everything that Majnun does in his madness of love has a justification for the loved one. So as a Muslim, when you're there, taking that break to go and pray your salah, to the society that you're in, it seems like a madness. But you're in love with Allah and you have a justification for your madness. The same thing with your fasting, the same thing with your hajj, the same thing with your charity, the same thing with your abstinence from alcohol and drugs and all of the things that society deems as normal. Because you're in love with Allah, you see it as justified, but everybody else that's not in love doesn't understand your state because they're not feeling what you're feeling and they're not going through what you're going through. And so he's using this analogy of love and the things that it does to you and the effects that it has on you to show us that when you're in love with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's supposed to be physical changes to you. There's supposed to be emotional changes to you. The love that you have should be able to make you do things that you wouldn't normally do and go against your better judgment to follow that love. Like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, nobody truly believes until his desires have been brought in line with what I have brought. So you, in your head, might want to do something, but because you know that this is what pleases Allah and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you choose that over what you were originally going to do. The only thing that can be powerful enough to force you to do this is love. If you're not in love with Allah and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you're not going to be able to follow them and do what you're supposed to do as a Muslim and reach the spiritual states that you're supposed to reach as a Muslim.